Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It is fantastic that you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last little mini series on the casting crowns. And through their song City on the Hill, I talked about the fact that a community is made up of all sorts of people, old and young, disabled, poor, poets and athletes and protectors, and the fact that we all need each other to get on with each other. So I trust you enjoyed that one. Well, we go on to a couple, I suppose, country pop country duo today, David and Marilyn. And since the year 2000, they have released 8 albums. All of those albums have been independently released, produced, and funded. So well done to them for that. Um, and the guys we're talking about are Carter and Carter. Now, these guys have an incredible vocal delivery. Their harmonies are absolutely superb. They told me once, these two, that they've had their vocals assessed, and their voices are just so much in sync with each other, with all the tonal nuances and everything else that goes along with singing together. They blend so beautifully, and what makes them so compelling is their vocal delivery. They are also incredible songwriters, and we'll get onto their songs in a minute. So Carter and Carter today. They've won a Golden Guitar Award in Tamworth. Now that's a very sought after award indeed. They've had a string of number one hits on country radio. They've won an award through APRA, which is the Australian Performing Rights Association. They have won a Songwriters People's Choice Award and a variety of Victorian Country Music Awards, because these guys' home is in Victoria. And they've also won an International Frank Spur Award. And these guys are considered one of the most successful country music duos in Australian country music. So we're into some really incredibly talented and gifted guys in particular today. These guys are incredible songwriters. They write about their love that they have for each other. They talk about what it means to be a couple. They talk about what happens with couples, where there's fights and arguments, but what you do with those fights and arguments when they've all come back. Songs like Hello Again comes to mind when I think of songs like that. Family is very, very important to these guys. And when you think about rural Victoria, songs about family is very, very important. And also songs about just what makes us tick as human beings and what we can do to get the most out of who we are as humans. These songs are very thought-provoking, but they're also very, very uplifting as well. And there's a couple of songs in a minute that I'll get onto, which are certainly in the uplifting category. But I might as well get onto those now. Now, you may remember this story started back with the Cars through their song Drive, and then I kept it going recently with the Casting Crowns and Does Anybody Hear Her? And this is this lass, Jessica. Now, Jessica needs to have a good end to her story. So I think you may recall that in Does Anybody Hear Her, we talked about the fact that this stunningly beautiful girl was a little bit shallow in her conversation, and bit by bit, she was getting lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. And it got to a point through the song Does Anybody Hear Her that she could not put it off any longer, and she started to really struggle through life for that reason. And she would look at groups of people that would come into her cafe where she was a waitress because she had lost her high-flying job, and she would just long for that connection with other people. And where the story was left last time was that a group that came in every Sunday for lunch, just one girl for some reason had stayed behind, and her and Jessica had a conversation. Well, we'll continue the story today. Jessica was so taken with someone who had taken the time out to be with her She was also taken by the fact that she did not have to put on any mask. She could just be herself with this girl. She didn't have to dress up. She didn't have to do anything. She could just be Jessica. And it felt to her as she listened and conversed with this other lass that there was just something awakening in her side that had never been there in the past. And that was connection. So anyway, her shift finished and she just thought more and more about this conversation that she'd had. And one day she looked herself in the mirror and she thought, Jessica, it's time for a change. Now, she would look often in the mirror in the past and she would make sure her makeup was just right and she would try and get her hair just right because she felt like she needed to be pristine the whole time. She looked deep into her eyes and she looked at her face and she just tried it a bit differently. She didn't put as much makeup on. She just tried to just highlight the beauty that was already there. She had never considered herself beautiful without the hair and the makeup. But as she looked deep in her eyes in the mirror, she could see that there was something beautiful there, something that was just waiting to get out. It's something that had been awakened inside her when she was talking to that girl in the cafe. And so she vowed at that moment that she would be different. And certainly as life went on, she wasn't so concerned about how she looked, even though she still did put a little bit of effort into that because that's kind of what the world expects these days, but not as much. And she looked for people to talk to and to have conversation with. And the rumour soon got round that Jessica seemed to be different. And her friends started to treat her differently. They started to see her as someone that was being real with them. They always knew it was there somewhere, but it had just been very, very hard to find. And so Jessica found herself starting to connect with people on a real level. Life had become different. Life had become meaningful. Life had become worthwhile. And sure enough, she was in her normal place one day and a guy that she used to go out with, Jonathan. Now, it had been probably 12 months since they had broken up. Anyway, he came back in and he saw Jessica standing there. And he saw immediately that was something different about her. And he went over to talk to her, and after about an hour of conversation, they realised that there was still something between them, but something also to be uncovered. And they left that night holding hands once more. Jessica had found herself. She really, really had found herself. She had discovered who Jessica really was. She was discovering the Jessica who would desire connection as opposed to Jessica who needed to put the look on. And she had got her guy back. And she was exhilarated and she was happy and she was excited to see where the world would go. In fact, there's a song by Carter and Carter called Stand Tall. And this came off the 2017 album Better Day. And this song just strings to mind as I consider Jessica. There she is. She now knows who she is. She now knows what she's capable of. She's a person that wants connection. She's a person that wants to be real. And she has got her guy back. She can stand tall knowing that. And she can also dance in the rain, which is another Carter and Carter song that came from their 2011 album To the Moon and Back. And here, why not dance in the rain? We have life to celebrate. Life can be full, life can be rich when we take the time to connect with others, just as Jessica did as she dropped the pristine act and became real. She was able to stand tall again in a new way, and she was able to dance in the rain like nobody was watching. So it's always nice to have a happy ending with the stories, that the characters that we sometimes come up against. It's so nice to have a happy ending and to see that, yes, we have learned stuff on the way that has made us better human beings going forward. So if you're a Jessica out there, or whatever your name is, I've just picked Jessica. She's the name that came to my head. Whatever it is that your name is, let's consider being real and consider having connections with others, because it is so much more worthwhile than trying to put on the over-the-top beautiful act and mask that it can tend to be. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today. Now on to the clips. I have already mentioned two of the songs, the Stand Tall from the Better Day album and Dance in the Rain from To the Moon and Back. Now there's another song too, and the song that each actually is To the Moon and Back off the album of the same name. Again, this is the official clip. And there was a book called Guess How Much I Love You. And one of the lines in the book says, I love you all the way to the moon, then you turn the page and back. I think very much what this song is based on. It's just one of these beautiful stories that parents will read to their children to express their own love for their children. This is just a beautiful shot clip of children, their smiles and their innocence and everything that makes children. And so that clip there is there as well. Now, the links to those three songs are in the description below. So feel free to click at all of those or some of those. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of an encouragement about where you are at the moment, Stand Tall and Dance in the Rain are fantastic songs indeed. I think we probably need to stand tall before we can dance in the rain, to be able to live being absolutely confident in ourselves. And To the Moon and Back is just a beautifully shot clip. If you're a parent and you're reading stories to your babies or your toddlers, this song might just really, really resonate with you. So I trust that will all be an encouragement for you. And by the way, I have included my last video on the casting crowns. So if you want to recap on that one, feel free. If you want to look at the previous videos of Jessica's story, well, there's a casting crowns before that one and the cars a couple before that. So if you want to go back through my playlist and have a look, feel free. Well, if you have come back for another video, fantastic and really good that you've come back. If this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, thank you for stopping by. It is fantastic that you are here. All we do is we're just encouraging you in your life journey. And please note the invitation below that if you would like me to look at a song, feel free to drop it in the comments. And I'll be more than happy to do that for you. Well, that's it for today. Next time, we're going to go on to Yusuf Islam, or as he was known back in the 1970s, Cat Stevens. So until then, bye for now, and I'll catch you around.